Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elena. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today is going to be kind of a heavier conversation or discussion about being like the black sheep of the family, or the role of the black sheep of the family, or the scapegoat. And although I'm not a professional like psychologist or doctor or anything, this is just my personal opinion as someone who has experienced that myself. Mind you, I am a firm believer that the black sheep of the family is a role that we have signed up for. I know that's difficult to hear, especially because it's so traumatizing and it's so difficult. And like when you're in it, you don't really understand why until like once you healed and you stepped out of it, you kind of see why you would have chosen that role for the ones that you love, because it's almost like it's all love at the end of the day. So whether or not you chose that role on a higher level, because you had to learn to stand up for yourself, you had to learn to trust yourself, and because you are the universe, to learn to stand up and trust yourself even when you feel like you're isolated and nobody is around you. You're learning boundaries, you're learning self-love, you're learning to use your authentic voice, and whether or not these individuals who are within this narcissistic, family dynamic or whatever, you're teaching them that it's like not okay to constantly project onto to other people. Like there needs to be at some point self-reflection and accountability. Whether or not they do it is not up to you. It's almost like your job is to kind of not take it onto yourself. And that's really hard, especially when you grow up in that and then you have to be around and survive with these types of systems around you. It's really difficult to get out of when you're in it, right? So when you are calling dysfunction out and people around you, a narcissistic parent, let's say, is not willing to do that inner work, they lack emotional maturity, they lack emotional intelligence, and they just, I don't know, whether they feel a lot of shame in themselves, a lack of self-love, insecurities, and a sense of perceived powerlessness. That is why I feel like a lot of narcissists or people who don't want to self-reflect, they just shift blame onto an easy target, a target that threatens the system of a narcissistic family household, let's say, because somebody who's speaking the truth, calling out dysfunction, is threatening their world, for they now need to look at themselves and they refuse to. So in their sense of powerlessness, what they would likely do is they would try to convince other people around, your siblings, let's say, that the scapegoat, you, are the problem. They will tend to do that because, again, if they perceive themselves as powerless, they have to gather people around. They have to convince people that they are the innocent ones and the scapegoat is the wrong one, right? They have to put a lot of work in maintaining an image of purity and goodness, right? It's interesting too, I didn't really think about it this way, but there are some people that will know, let's say you have a sibling, let's say they know that manipulation is going on, but they feel so loyal to their caregiver. So family has such a stronghold on people. And I was often like looking at why that is, and it's like family in a lot of societies and our ancestry and all that is like a means to survive. If you're outcasted from the family, it can be very scary, a sense of insecurity in terms of like you don't have that network of people to support you. So it's a means to survival, and that program runs so deep in so many of us that like even if people are aware that there's manipulation happening, they will tend to still side with the provider, right? The one who provides. Other times, people don't know that they're being manipulated. So maybe they just hear, let's say it's like a parent that's a narcissist. It's like, oh, they can't be that bad. They've always been nice to me. They're so charming. They're so friendly. They're so all this good stuff, right? They're so old. They couldn't hurt anyone, right? And that is because they're manipulated into believing that this person is harmless when really that person is manipulating the whole entire situation. It is my prayer that if that is happening to you, people will begin to see through the facade. Again, that is not up to you to control. We don't know if they're ever going to see through that. However, what I want to maintain here is kind of a newfound perspective for the role of the scapegoat and how we can kind of release that role. And I don't know if anyone's watched Daryl Anka channel Bashar, but I remember him talking about scapegoats, and I'm like, I need to write this down. So I wrote it down and I'm going to read it to you. Excuse me. It says, the role of the scapegoat. Wear it as a badge of strength that you chose to be strong enough to take on the fears and lack of responsibility that other people have when they are not looking at their own issues and simply choose someone to voice them all and project them all upon. They create scapegoats because they fear the responsibility and of facing their negative fear-based beliefs, because taking responsibility is defined to them as blame, and they are coming from a place of less than worthiness. My job as a scapegoat is to give them an opportunity to face their fears by voicing out and reflecting to them what they are so afraid to face. It is not my responsibility to change them, but it is my responsibility to tell them that I am not going to continue being their scapegoat. Feel free to pause the video and rewrite that in slow-mo. You know what I mean? That is exactly what the role of the scapegoat is. And when he said that, I was like, that's exactly it. And I also want to talk about how, because this role, let's say, is a role that we signed up for when we were like, before we incarnated, it is likely going to be a repeating thing that happens in our life sometimes, right? You'll find moments in your life, I know in my experience, that there will be people, I'm surrounded by people, it could be in school, it can be at work, it can be in family, where it's like everybody is like blaming stuff and projecting their stuff. And it is such a repeated pattern. I'm not saying that it's gonna happen forever, because I don't know what the universe brings. However, because if you've signed up for that and you've healed from it, chances are you're going to be in places where you're going to stand in your power solo. You know what I mean? And I know it's difficult because you want to have other people have your back. But in a sense, if you look at it, you know, if narcissists view themselves as powerless because they need to have a bunch of people around targeting you, and that's their sense of control. True power is to stand in your own. In terms of, not saying that you don't talk to other people, your friends or whatever, about what's going on, because it's really important to kind of vent your frustrations too. But what I'm saying is that if you have grown up in environments where you have been let down by people all the time, the people who are supposed to be there for you, chances are, without meaning to, you probably have a belief or a desire that, or a wish that there will be someone out there that will rescue you, that will save you from what you're going through. I don't know, it's making me very emotional. And you don't know that you're doing that. It's like you're hoping that somebody will help you in those moments. Maybe you're hoping for, you know, one of your siblings to figure it out. Maybe you're hoping for your higher ups to help you or figure it out. Maybe you're hoping for that person who you thought was a friend to help you out, but really decides to side with the narcissistic system. And you feel so utterly alone. So in those moments, I am reminded, when I stand in my truth and call out that behavior for what it is, sometimes you get pushed into a corner where it's just you, but it's not just you. You know, when you feel alone, you're not alone, because you actually have the help of your ancestors, your spirit guides, and in every soul of the, like, standing behind you, because they have your back. And I think sometimes we forget that when our answered prayer that we want is actually us, we will have our backs. We love ourselves. We will stand up for us. We become the best friend we need. We become the power or the authority figure that we need to invoke change. We end up being the answered prayers of what we've always wanted, not outside of us. We become the answered prayer. And it can be scary sometimes when you're faced with so many people just constantly looking at you. And sometimes you get confused, right? Because you think, like, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? No. It's like sometimes you're placed in spaces to call out people for their dysfunction. And the strongest ones will usually be placed in spaces where their voice needs to be heard. You have the perspective that is unique for them to hear. Because think about it. If they are surrounded and manipulated, let's say, in that narcissistic environment, they're probably not around people who are independent thinkers, who look at two sides of the story. They're just blindly loyal and they want to believe that person. So their network of friends, or the people they are around, are probably very narrow in their perspective. And you have that perspective and that wisdom of something totally different that could truly, through your words and expression, wake them up and cause tower moments to them. How they take your words is not up to you. Your job is to stand in your truth and in your power. And this also brings me back to the fact that if you are your answered prayer, if you are the one to save yourself and get yourself out of that situation, what you are essentially doing is you're showing the universe through your actions and through your energy that you deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve to be around people who do self-reflect and do the work. You deserve to be in spaces and places that are non-toxic and are healthy for you. So what that also means is that not only are you creating a new timeline where you are basically repelling yourself from, like, the toxic narcissistic system and moving into a more healthier system with more people that are that take accountability. You're moving into that space. Like, anyone who suffered through narcissistic abuse and have broken away will probably experience a smear campaign on some level, which is incredibly difficult because it's painful when you see people who you've known for a long time just blindly believe someone. So hurtful and so painful. And I want people to look at the positive of that, which is that, I know it's hard, but there's a positive in that, which is that the universe is sifting and sorting the people who are not for you. They're exposing them. First off, you don't want to be friends with people who just follow someone. You want people who are independent thinkers and who self-reflect. And if there's somebody that maybe you have been friends with and you thought you were good friends with, but they have chosen to side with a narcissistic, manipulative person and not to believe your side of the story, I want you to know that on some level, this person never really liked you. This person never really appreciated you or respected you. And these are toxic people in general. Like, and you have to know that you are being divinely protected and being moved away from toxicity. And that goes with also walking away from your family, right? If you have a narcissistic family household, it's almost like, how can you thrive in the environment that has made you sick? It's like you're talking to an empty wall, or like a hallway that's empty, right? Like, it's like no one's hearing you. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be acknowledged, and your voice is valid. You deserve to be around people who love you so much and themselves enough to want to work and improve themselves every day. And if they can't do that, then as hard as it is to walk away, sometimes you got to do that for your own mental health and for your own self-preservation is what I want to say. And I feel like if you're in that space where you feel isolated, I want you to know that Spirit is here with you. They are here with you every step of the way, and they're teaching you to trust yourself and to know that even though like it may feel like nobody has your back, Spirit has your back. And it's a test of trust. It's a test of trust that if you stand up for yourself, if you love yourself enough to say no more, I will not tolerate these things anymore. It's amazing what the universe will open up because it's reflecting back to you your worthiness. So it's almost like you will not attract such people anymore. You'll attract healthier people, people who really get along with you, people who understand you. And you know, with family, because it is a role, I also feel like, you know, some people go no contact, and if that works for you, go for it. But I also know that there are people who have gone no contact, but are also now able to kind of understand more of the situation and are likely to reconnect to the family if they so choose, but in a totally different way with a lot of healthy boundaries and a lot of, you know, expectations. Like, it's like, I want you to know if you do this, I'm not talking to you again. Right? Like, so that's kind of what I want to talk about in terms of like the black sheep of the family. I hope this video sheds some light on those who are experiencing this, or those who have experienced this, to know that they are not alone and that you are loved. Know that you are loved and you are fully supported. And even if you have to take that step by yourself, take that leap by yourself into the unknown, it's probably better than what has always felt familiar, which is projections and blame. And to trust that good things are coming, the right people will show up, and to know that they will love you for who you are, and that includes they will love the fact that you hold them accountable. You will inspire them to be better. Anyways, I hope this video helps someone out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.